Okay. Well, happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to our mindfulness webinar about what is mindfulness and how do we start implementing it. We're going to go ahead and jump right in. And then for anybody who is unable to attend this webinar live or maybe wants to watch it back, I will be sending the recording out after our session today. So stay tuned for that in your inbox later today or tomorrow so that you can watch this back and start to practice mindfulness tips and tricks in your life. For those that do not yet know me, my name is Shannon Parks. I am your on-site health coach under UMR. I am a registered dietitian by trade and have been working alongside the county members for about 3 years, providing health coaching, stress management, mindfulness, and a number of other coaching topics that I work with individuals on. I also host our Monday meditation, which is a great place to get some mindfulness during your week. So if you enjoy this presentation and want to implement more mindfulness in your world and in your work week, please consider joining me on Zoom for those meditation sessions. No experience required. Before we jump into our topic today, I did want to remind each of you that the information presented here today is for educational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice. If you have any dire mental health conditions, I encourage you to seek out our on-site EAP, talk to your in-network medical provider, or contact me if you need more assistance. So let's go ahead and dive into our presentation today. So I figured I'd give you a little bit of an overview of what you can expect today. We're going to dive in and chat about what mindfulness is, all of the health benefits associated with mindfulness, the types of mindfulness that you can practice in your day-to-day life, some tips and tricks for starting to implement it if you're not sure where to get started, or maybe you want to further your journey. And then we're going to finish our session today with a guided mindfulness practice. On the other side of that mindfulness practice, I will be offering some time for Q&A. So if you have some questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. And then at the end of our session today, I'll go back and review those and make sure that I answer all of your questions. So with that being said, let's talk about what mindfulness is. Mindfulness, I like to break it down into kind of 3 prongs or 3 parts: intention, attention, and attitude. Mindfulness is really the gentle effort to be continuously present with the experience that you're in, whether that's sitting at your desk, riding a roller coaster, or anything in between. Mindfulness is just about being present. So there are 3 attributes that come along with being present and with practicing mindfulness: gentleness, continuousness, and presence. Those things lead us to pay attention in a particular way, right? On purpose, in the present moment, non-judgmentally, when we're thinking about being gentle, continuous, and present in our mindfulness practice. The 3 attributes of that definition: the particular way, meaning to focus on a specific object or focal point. If you've ever joined my Monday meditation, I always encourage people focus on the breath, right? Be intentional and particular about what we're focusing on in that moment. The second attribute of that definition is on purpose, right? Intention. That's the counterbalance of the autopilot default of our common mindset, right? A lot of times we go through our life just kind of on autopilot. It reminds me of something my mother used to say: creatures of habit, right? We do the same thing over and over again. A lot of times we drive to work and we don't even think about the journey of getting there, right? We're not truly present. We're just on autopilot. That's where that creatures of habit used to come in. So that's just kind of how human beings are. And mindfulness has us on purpose, with intention, focusing on this moment. And then the third attribute is non-judgmentally, allowing anything that arises, any thought, any feeling, any emotion, anything that arises to just pass on through us while we're in a state of mindfulness. So, to paraphrase all of that, mindfulness is one, where we direct our attention to a specific object in the present moment, very intentionally, and not casting any judgment on anything that arises within us. And that is a practice. I always tell people that join my meditation, this is a meditation practice, not a meditation perfect. Mindfulness is never something that's going to be perfect. We can't be mindful all the time. But as we practice it more, you might find it to become easier and more common in your life to be mindful. So let's talk about the benefits of a mindfulness practice. The first benefit is stress reduction. And if that's why you're here, I'm super glad that you're here learning ways to reduce your stress, because stress really does get the best of us. So with stress reduction and mindfulness, we're able to use mindfulness to become more aware of our thoughts as they are. They allow us to be with our thoughts in a skillful way, right? And not let our thoughts be in control of us. We can kind of step away from the thought and observe it gently. And then our stress response is either not initiated at all or minimally initiated, right? Instead of allowing the thought or the stressor to control us, we're flipping it on its head and we are controlling our reaction to the thought and the stressor by being more mindful and more present in that moment. So we have two modes of behavior. One of them is doing mode, right? We do all day long. Specific actions, problem solving, taking different approaches, etc. The other mode of behavior is the being mode, allowing yourself to just be. When's the last time you did that, right? A lot of people, they can say, I don't even know the last time I just existed. So being mode, that's where we have that focus on self-awareness rather than pursuing any goal or action. That's going to help us reduce our stress, because the more we turn on the being mode instead of the doing mode by being mindful and present, we promote more relaxation and more calmness in our life. So learning how to be instead of just how to do. And trust me, I realize that is a skill set in and of itself, right? Let's look at another benefit of mindfulness, reduced rumination. Anybody here that struggles with overthinking, decision fatigue from thinking about things so much, or thoughts that they just feel like you can't get control of your thoughts, you have ruminating thoughts all the time, maybe you consider yourself an overthinker, mindfulness can help with that. So human beings, we tend to react pretty unskillfully to stress or any other unpleasant emotion. So an example, let's say we're stressed about work. When we become aware of the fact that we're stressed, we oftentimes become even more stressed, right? Like when you're like, oh my gosh, I have all the stress of this deadline. Instead of that relaxing us, it makes us more stressed. It makes us more anxious. Does anybody else feel like that? I'm seeing some nodding heads, so I think that's hitting home with a lot of you. This is due to the idea of a primary layer of suffering. So stick with me here. This is kind of a Buddhism way of thinking about stress and suffering. So we have a primary layer of suffering, which is the direct effect of something that's affecting us, right? That baseline stressor. And the unskillful response that we have to that primary suffering, that primary thing that's really affecting us, that then creates a secondary layer of suffering or stress. And so one manifestation of that could be ruminating when we're aware that we're stressed, and that awareness can cause us to become angry or short-tempered. The primary layer of suffering is the stress. The secondary layer of suffering is the short-temperedness or the anger that we might have with people around us or processes or things, right? When we're at our limit, do we have the most patience? Probably not when we're feeling really stressed. So that secondary layer of suffering can be far longer lasting or far more intense than the primary layer of suffering. That stressor might have gone away, but your irritability about that stressor might linger for a while, right? How many people have felt like that before? I know that I have. Mindfulness gives us the tools to cut through that secondary layer of suffering, to cut off that anger, that irritation, whatever that second feeling is. Mindfulness helps us so that we can deal with a primary layer, kind of pushes that secondary after effect out of the way and says, okay, what's really going on? Let me sit intentionally with what's really going on and discover why I really feel the way that I feel. The very act of facing that primary layer of suffering, facing that thing that's really bothering us through mindfulness, reduces the impact it has on us just by facing it. Isn't that amazing? It's been found that people who deal with chronic pain, mindfulness helps mitigate the pain. So the pain is the primary suffering, right? And then any irritability, sleeplessness, grumpiness, whatever you might have because of the pain, that's that secondary layer. So sitting with the pain removes that secondary layer and allows us to really work on that primary layer. It's very interesting stuff. Let's continue on in talking about benefits of mindfulness. Less emotional reactivity. I don't know about y'all, but I know I could always deal with more of this. I have a lot of people that I coach that have a lot of big feelings, right? And so being able to control some of those big feelings through mindfulness can really be helpful. So when we are able to learn how to skillfully deal with that primary layer of suffering, we find that the stressors that create that suffering are less stressful because now we know they don't have as much control over us or hold over us that they had before. So it gives us a sense of confidence that then leads to less emotional reactivity, right? When we are able to sit with the stressor of work or this season of work that we're in or the project deadline or whatever it is, and recognize it for what it is and work through it with mindfulness practices, the next time we feel those feelings, our nervous system is already trained and ready to go with the skills that we need to get through the situation in a healthy way. Let's talk about one last benefit of mindfulness: improved focus and cognitive ability. When we're able to deal with the stressors in our daily lives in a skillful manner, we automatically find ourselves with improved focus and cognitive ability because all those distractions and the stressors that affected us before, they're no longer affecting us. And it gives us better focus and cognitive ability in the moment because we're not pulled in a million directions emotionally or otherwise. So let's move into talking about the types of mindfulness practices, and we're going to go through 5 of them today. So there's the mindfulness of breath practice. Our breath is an amazing, portable, always present tool for us to use in a mindfulness practice. You always have your breath with you, right? I mean, at least if you're living, you always have your breath with you. So breath is that anchor to the present moment. And breath doesn't generate an emotional reaction, right? It's just breath. It's inhale, exhale, no emotions to it at all. Mindfulness of breath practice, it leads to the stability of our mind through concentration as a direct result of the slowing down of our thoughts, just by focusing on the breath. The ability to remain focused on the breath acts like an antidote to all those mental distractions and unnecessary mental activity, like the rumination. When we're distracted by something, we have those thoughts in our mind and they feed on themselves, which generates emotion, which then leads to another series of thoughts. I call it like the train car thinking. I start thinking about one thing, and then that might generate a thought about something else, which might generate an emotion that thinks about something else. And now I'm 4 or 5 cars down my train, and I started at the front, right? That might resonate with you. Mindfulness helps us feel more in control of that type of thinking. Just by focusing on the breath, it stops the spread of all those ruminating and proliferating thoughts. It stops you right in the moment that you're in. Let me be present here before my mind runs away from me. Let me be present in this moment. Let's talk about mindfulness practice with our body. So, mindfulness practice itself emphasizes the connection between mind and body. By bringing attention to the body's sensations and focusing on the breath, we generate greater awareness and promote overall connectedness to ourselves. One way to practice mindfulness of body is by doing what's called a body scan meditation, which involves directing attention to different parts of your body and observing any physical sensations without judgment. This type of practice can foster a deeper understanding and connection with our body's signals and cues that are particularly helpful for managing anything from physical discomfort, pain, or even stress-related symptoms, tight shoulders, upset tummy, etc. So by scanning each area of the body, we can develop a heightened sense of body awareness and learn to respond to the body's needs with compassion and care. Mindfulness of thought. Observing thought meditation is a type of meditation that focuses on developing awareness of our thoughts without getting caught up in them. By observing our thoughts as they arise, we create a sense of detachment and non-reactivity. This type of practice allows us to develop a greater understanding of the nature of our mind and our thoughts. So during observing thought meditation, an individual would sit in a quiet and comfortable space, allowing any and all thoughts that come up to go without any judgment. Instead of judgment, we recognize that the thoughts are temporary events and happenings, and we allow them to pass through without getting entangled in them. This type of practice promotes clarity, calmness, and freedom from that constant stream of thoughts that often occupies our mind. This can help create a sense of spaciousness and open-heartedness, and it also allows us to develop the ability to respond to our thoughts with greater wisdom and compassion. So oftentimes in my Monday meditation, I will tell people, if any thoughts, feelings, or emotions come up for you, allow them to float on by like a cloud in the sky, knowing that we can come back to those later. But for right now, this is where we want to be. That's allowing you to observe the thought without any real attachment to it. Okay, let's look at the next slide for types of practice, mindfulness of emotion, sorry. So mindfulness practice offers a range of techniques geared towards helping someone better manage their emotional state. These practices are effective in promoting relaxation, increasing self-awareness, reducing stress, alleviating anxiety and depression, and aiding other mental health conditions. These types of practices focus on cultivating awareness of thoughts and sensations, helping individuals develop a more balanced and compassionate perspective towards themselves, towards others, and towards events that they've experienced. These practices can also help individuals reconnect with positive experiences and develop a great sense of self-compassion with less judgment. Research studies have consistently demonstrated the effectiveness of mindfulness-based interventions on reducing symptoms of stress and promoting better overall mental health. By integrating mindfulness practices into traditional therapeutic approaches, providers can give individuals powerful tools to enhance their well-being. And our last type of mindfulness practice, we'll talk about the mind states. So mindfulness practices really do offer a wide range of benefits for both the body and the mind. Empirical evidence supports the effectiveness of mindfulness in reducing stress, anxiety, and depression, while also improving attention, emotional regulation, and overall well-being. Research has shown that regular mindfulness practice can have positive effects on our brain, including changes in brain structure and function. And by practicing mindfulness, individuals can experience improvements in their cognitive ability, such as enhanced attention, focus, and executive function. Furthermore, mindfulness has been found to have significant physical benefits. It can help reduce inflammation in the body, which is the root of all disease. It can lower blood pressure, and it can improve immune function. By reducing stress levels, mindfulness can also contribute to better sleep quality and overall physical health. Engaging in mindfulness practices has been associated with improvements in various psychological domains, such as self-awareness, self-compassion, and emotional well-being. It helps individuals develop a greater sense of presence and acceptance, allowing them to respond to their thoughts and emotions in a more balanced and compassionate manner. Overall, the practice of mindfulness has been supported by evidence-backed research, and has been shown to have numerous physical and psychological benefits. By incorporating mindfulness into our daily lives, individuals can experience the transformative power of being fully present in this moment. So let's talk a bit about some tips and tricks for mindfulness. Most importantly, be gentle and kind with yourself. Mindfulness is not the time to throw down the hammer and try to get it perfect or try to beat ourselves up for not having it perfect, right? We are practicing mindfulness to alleviate stress, not to add more stress in. So I always tell people on my meditations, this is a meditation practice, not a meditation perfect. Simply showing up and doing your best is good enough. Adopting a non-striving attitude. So a lot of times when we set a health or wellness goal, even if it's mindfulness, when we're striving towards a specific goal, that striving really generates a lot of mental activation, and that's what we're trying to stop in the first place. So this goes back to instead of doing, just allowing ourselves to be and being in that being mode instead of the doing mode. The next tip I have for you is to accept whatever arises as you practice your mindfulness, just non-judgmentally. Observe it and allow it to keep on floating. You wouldn't judge a cloud in the sky, so we don't judge the thoughts or feelings or emotions or anything else that might come up. And when you find that your attention has wandered off, which is completely normal, just gently let go of that distraction and bring your attention back to your breath, your mantra, whatever it is that is your focal point for your mindfulness. Each time you do this, you're strengthening your concentration and your discipline, and that's really what mindfulness is all about, is homing in that concentration, that discipline, that focus. And lastly, adopt a beginner's mindset, opening up to realizing something about ourselves during this practice, having patience and trust that this process does work and will have benefits for you, will go a million miles and take you a million miles further. So now that we've talked through what mindfulness is, we're going to do a little mindfulness practice. I'm going to take you guys through what would be like a Monday morning meditation. So it's a 15-minute meditation. Like I said before, you don't have to have ever meditated before to be a part of this practice. It is completely available to all individuals, whether you've meditated before or you haven't. Just keep in mind the things that we talked about. Try to be present, try to be gentle and kind with yourself, try to reduce your distractions if you're able to, and just keep coming back to the moment and the sound of my voice. I will let you know when it's time to come back to the surface, and it may be a little bit less than 15 minutes. And so, if there's a pause or you don't hear me talking, I'm still here. We're all still here. And I'll let you know when we're done with this part and we can open it up for our question and answer. So that being said, let me get my mindfulness passage up and we're going to get started. Okay, so take a deep cleansing breath. A nice big inhale in through the nose and out through the nose. We'll do that again, breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Taking a few moments here, a few breaths to just settle into the space that you're in. Settle into this moment, this space, setting down any tasks, to-do lists, action items, feelings, thoughts that you maybe brought into this space, setting those down for the time being, knowing that we can come back to those later. Allow yourself permission to take the opportunity to just be here. For the next few moments, we're going to engage in a process of disengagement. Meditation is the practice of slowing down and stopping. So for the next few moments, allow yourself to come into stillness, to let go of the doing. Allow yourself to unwind into a state of simply being. Sitting or resting comfortably in your present space, allow yourself to be present. You can close your eyes if that feels good to you, or find a soft, unfocused gaze. Take note of the sensation of your own breathing, the rise and fall of your chest, the inflation and deflation of your belly. As you inhale, acknowledge and know that you are inhaling. Be present with that inhale breath. When you exhale, know that you are exhaling. We breathe all day, but perhaps we're too busy to notice the actual breath. This is simply a moment where we stop to notice. Notice your breathing, continuing to take full breaths, deep, nourishing breaths. With each breath, you're bathing yourself in life-sustaining oxygen. As you inhale, feel the energy of your breath flowing deep into your body. As you exhale, feel the release of energy and notice the calm and satisfied state of the body. With each breath, we become more deeply relaxed and more deeply present. Continue breathing deeply and slowly with intention. Allow yourself to let go of the act of intentionally breathing. As you do, watch your breathing take on its own natural rhythm, requiring no effort, no intention. Simply notice the way in which your body is breathing, sustaining your life. Effortless observation. No longer actively doing it, but just observing it. Watch as your breath flows effortlessly in and out. Relax and be with the breath. Allow your mind to settle, to relax, to be restful, intentional without excessive energy. Practicing a relaxed state of awareness. Continue following your breath, observing, watching, and noticing the natural flow of your breathing. And when you're ready, move your attention to the sensations present in your body. Notice the areas making contact with the surface beneath you. Feel that contact. Allow the chair or the cushion that you're sitting on to hold you. Allow gravity to keep you gently in place. There's nothing for you to do. All is being done for you. You don't need to sit. Sitting is happening. Simply observe and notice how it feels to witness your body resting comfortably. As you settle more and more deeply into this present moment, as you truly continue to stop doing and just allow yourself to be for a few moments, you see how there is nothing to do. All is being done for you. The more you let go, the freer you become to simply observe and be present. As you sit in presence, you may notice how your mind begins to wander. You may find that stories and thoughts about the past or the future seem to suddenly and naturally arise. This is natural. In the same way that our lungs breathe, our mind thinks. That is its job. It does not require intentional effort. All we have to do is notice. If we allow our mind to wander freely, it will take our attention out of the present moment. And as a result, we are no longer fully present or fully aware. In this meditation, we're training ourselves in mindfulness. And so for this reason, when we've noticed our wandering mind, we can be grateful for yet another opportunity to bring it back into the present moment. It's no fault that our mind wanders. There's no need for frustration. It's the wandering of our mind that allows us to recognize our state of mindlessness and thus return to a state of mindfulness. This is our practice. Continue breathing deeply. As we become more still and more absorbed in this moment, we let go again and again, a little bit more each time, letting go of our expectations, our mental constructs of how things should be, and open up instead to how it is. We let go of our need for the experience to be a certain way, instead accepting it is this way. Nothing more, nothing less. Continue breathing deeply, observing the breath. When you're ready, inviting some gentle movement back into the body. Be a finger or toe wiggles, maybe a smile across your face, gently blinking open your eyes, a gentle stretch. Coming back from the surface of your practice to the sound of my voice and the space that you're in. Thank you for allowing me to take you on that mindfulness meditation journey. That was an 11-minute meditation practice. I'm sure it felt like it went by in a blink for some of you, and maybe for others, it feels like it went on forever. Mindfulness practice has no time on it. It can be 10 seconds of being present, or it can be 10 minutes or longer. It is totally up to you what you're comfortable with, the time that you have, and what you need that day. So, as we close today, I want to share this Buddhist saying with you: when you walk, walk. When you eat, eat. This shows us be present, be mindful with every activity that you do. If you need more help increasing your mindfulness practice, managing your stress, or figuring out how to fold more mindfulness in your day-to-day, please reach out. I am here to help.